Okay, what is up there, YouTube? This is a J-Man Time, and today I have another what if first-person shooter game idea, and this one has to deal with the Call of Duty franchise. Now, Call of Duty came out with another World War II game called Call of Duty Vanguard, which is historically inaccurate to the most part, but Call of Duty hasn't really made historically accurate games since World at War, way back in 2008, 2009. So I came up with another idea for a post-World War II Call of Duty game. What if there was a Call of Duty title set during the first Arab-Israeli War of 1947 through 1949? Also known as the Israeli War of Independence and the Nakba to the Palestinians, also known as the First Arab-Israeli War. This was the first major conflict between the Israelis and the Palestinians and the Arab League, or the Legion of Arab Nations. Now, this conflict lasted from 1947 through 1949 and was one of the largest conflicts in the Levant, and technically is still ongoing, as Syria and Israel has never signed a formal ceasefire. Now, in this hypothetical Call of Duty 1948, we'll call it Call of Duty Holy Warfare. In Call of Duty Holy Warfare, you will have a campaign where you play as either the Israelis or the Jewish Palestinians, as they were called before 1947, or you will play as the Palestinian Arab forces, along with the Arab Liberation Forces and the forces of the Arab League, which includes Egypt, Transjordan, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, and Yemen. Now, in this game, I would want it to be as dark and as gritty as Call of Duty World at War from 2008-2009. I want it to be a early Cold War game, or a game set during the early Cold War era that shows the dark side of the proxy wars in the Middle East. Now, the Israel-Palestine War, or the Arab-Israeli War of 1948, really wasn't a proxy war in the traditional sense, as it was really an ethnic war. This was an ethno-nationalist war, a war of ethnic cleansing, as we would call it later on, in later decades. Now, in this hypothetical game, you would either play as Israeli paramilitary groups from the Haganah, Palmach, Hish, Hem, Irgun, Lahi, or you would play as one of the volunteers from the Jewish volunteers from the Mahal, which were a group of foreign volunteers and mercenaries that came from Western countries, mostly Europe and the US and Canada, for example. Or the campaign could have you playing as Palestinian Arabs and Arab forces fighting against the Israeli forces. You would play as a Palestinian character and maybe a secondary character, a second or third character from the armies of Egypt, Jordan, and Syria, as they were the biggest factions in this war on the Palestinian side. So it would be a gritty Call of Duty. I want it to be action-packed, but also want it to be a serious game where it shows the real war crimes committed during this war between 1947 and 1949. So you would have some of the major battles from the war appear in this game. In terms of weapons and weapons that would appear in the game, you would have a mixture of World War II weapons, which were the standard used by both sides. Weapons like the Thompson submachine gun, the British Sten gun, the Lee Enfield, the M1 Garand, but you would also have some homemade weapons. During the Arab-Israeli War of 1947 through 1949, both the Jews and the Arab forces manufactured some of their own homemade or locally manufactured submachine guns, rifles, shotguns, and even anti-tank weapons. All of this would appear in the game. There would be a new crafting system that would allow players to build their own weapons based on blueprints from the Arab-Israeli War. So you would be able to make your own rifles, submachine guns, and shotguns using spare parts from other weapons. You would also be able to unlock spare parts and components for weapons. So it would be very similar to Call of Duty Vanguard's weapons customization, but even better, as you would be able to make some of your own weapons using parts of other guns. And this is historically accurate, as this happened during the Arab-Israeli War of 1948. In terms of multiplayer, I would suggest they increase the number of players. Battlefield currently has about 78 players per match, so maybe Call of Duty could have at least 78 to 80 players in this hypothetical Call of Duty Holy Warfare set in the first Arab-Israeli War. So what do you all think of this concept? What do you all think of this concept for a Call of Duty game set during the first Arab-Israeli War? Please tell me in the comment section below, and until next time, this was J-Man Time signing off.